After the young master actually returned, I suddenly heard the thoughts of everyone in the house. Lu Nu Yin's older sister looked at me with an indifferent expression, but in her heart she thought, if it wasn't incest, then having a child with him wouldn't be too much. As for my younger sister Lu Nu Tuet, as soon as I got home, I heard her heart say, "My sister is not home tonight. It's my turn to go to my brother's room." The real young master thought as he picked up the food for me, "I have to get under the bed. Let's see if the next position is 1-on-2. When the system brought me here, it only said my mission was to live in harmony with the real young master's family, and then quickly sent me away as the fake young master. The first time I saw Lu Nu Yin's dark eyes, I was a bit scared. I grabbed the system. "Sir System, when are you coming back?" The system glanced at me and said with a sad expression, "The adult area has an error and needs maintenance for a while. Remember that you are acting out a happy family scenario. Just take it slow and enjoy it." Having finished speaking, it disappeared. Lu Nu Yin stood at the door with a tired face, talking to the director of the orphanage. I slowly walked over. She looked me up and down, then nodded to the director. She went first, I followed behind. Thinking of the family conflict scenario, I took a deep breath and touched Lu Nu Yin, reaching out my small hand to hold her slender hand. My sister called softly. Her hand was cold. She obviously paused a bit. I held her hand tightly, then walked with her, and continued like that for more than 10 years after finishing the university entrance exam. Lu Nu Yin stays at home more and more, sometimes even staying with me in the study room. I always feel a bit strange, so I want to find something to do. At the dinner table, I said, "Sister, let's go find a summer job together." Lu Yin looked at me, then gave me a piece of chicken wing. "Are you out of money?" I shook my head. "No, I hesitatingly said, "I just want to go out." Before I could finish my sentence, I saw Lu Nu Yin frowning, her eyes dark. She put down her chopsticks and looked at me. I quickly changed my tone. "I think it's too hot outside, but it's better to stay at home, with air conditioning and my sister." Lu Nu Yin stood up, patted my head. "Good boy." After Lu Nu Yin went upstairs, I thought to myself that according to the scenario, the young master would really return this summer vacation. What should I do to please everyone in the house, integrate with them, and live happily together? The sound of the doorbell rang. Lu Nu Tuet had returned. I am a few months older than Lu Nu Tuet, but she was soon admitted directly to university without taking an exam. This whole family is established to have a super high IQ, but Lu Nu Tuet is not like her sister. She is a happy girl who often acts spoiled with me. "There's someone outside the door looking for you, brother. Today, she seems tired." Lu Nu Tuet's voice is a bit annoyed. I went outside and saw my high school classmate. He seemed to have been waiting for me for a long time. Finally, he asked, "Which chapter are you signing up for? Or tell me which city you're going to." "My sister registered me for university in this city," I said. His eyes lit up. He gave me a box of fruit and happily said, "Happy graduation. Remember to come to the graduation party." Before I could answer, I saw Lu Nu Yin standing on the second-floor balcony. She extinguished the cigarette in her hand and looked straight at me, her eyes a little dark. I did not accept the gift, quickly said goodbye to my friend, and went into the house. As soon as I entered the house, I saw Lu Nu Yin coming downstairs. Her face looked a bit uncomfortable. I changed my clothes, raised my hand to scratch my neck, feeling a bit embarrassed. "Sister." I didn't mean to eavesdrop, but I heard the words, "orphanage." That's it. My identity has been revealed. The young master is really about to return. I thought to myself. The door to Lu Nu Yin's room was slightly open. I hid there and opened the door. Her voice became smaller and smaller. Behind there was a terrifying silence. But I know the call hasn't ended yet. The buzzing sound of the phone is still there. My whole body felt like there were thousands of ants crawling, feeling like I was a thief secretly doing bad things. After several years, it was finally discovered. So if Lu Nu Yin pampers me like that, will she abandon me? Can my happy family scenario continue? I thought to myself. I was deep in thought when the door suddenly opened and a dim light shone out. I suddenly encountered Lu Nu Yin's cold eyes. "I dropped something," I hastily explained. Lu Nu Yin crossed her arms and looked at me, searching for things on the ground. She looked at me, seemingly waiting to see what I could come up with. I kept humming, then clenched my fists, gathered the courage to say in a choked voice, "My identity has been exposed. Do you want to send me away?" My eyes are red, my nose is stinging. I also didn't expect to confess right away like that. Maybe it's because the system is still busy repairing the adult area and doesn't have the system to back me up, or it's because in front of Lu Nu Yin, I really can't lie. I seem very sincere. Lu Nu Yin looked at me, tilted her head slightly, obviously trying to suppress some emotions. She said in a low voice, "Put on your clothes. We'll talk tomorrow." Only then did I realize that my pajamas were quite loose. I was lying on the ground looking for something. The front was cool. I felt a bit embarrassed, pouted, stood up, and walked back to my room. Lu Nu Tuet suddenly ran out of the room. "Brother, come see me play football tomorrow." The girl stood at the door, her expression carefree. "You're going to have a new brother." I sighed, "Okay." I patted Lu Nu Tuet's head, thinking that I must protect this happy family scenario. I don't know if it was my imagination or not, but it seemed that Lu Nu Yin saw me rubbing Tuet's head and her eyes became even darker. Now that I know I'm not part of their family, can't I even have my head shaved anymore? I thought to myself. Away from the hallway and the dim light, I patted Lu Nu Tuet's head a few more times, rubbing and rubbing. I thought to myself. Willow Nu Tuet's eyes became brighter and brighter. She asked me, "Do you like patting my head?" I smiled awkwardly. "Yes, I really like it." As soon as I said this sentence, I felt like Lu Nu Yin was about to rush in to arrest me, so I quickly turned around and went into the bedroom. The faint smell of the medicine on my neck. I lay on the bed. In the dream, there was a warm hand placed on my waist and gently massaging. I felt a bit itchy, so I dodged, but the other person seemed to be even more arbitrarily, holding my shoulder tightly and pressing down. "Be good, call your sister." Having sleep paralysis, but also being asked to call your sister. What kind of game is this? I frowned and tried to turn around, but I was bitten lightly on my collarbone, causing pain. I cried out. Finally, that person held my neck tightly and kissed me. The kiss was intense and passionate until I felt like I was about to suffocate before that person stopped. Warm breath blew into my ear. "Call sister." I mumbled, "Sister, I'm sleepy." I said. Finally, that person stopped making trouble, hugged me, patted my back. "Go to sleep. Go to sleep, you liar." The next morning, my mouth felt dry, so I picked up a glass of water on the table and gulped it down. It's strange, after leaving it all night, why is the water still warm? I thought to myself, is Aunt Lou so thoughtful? This young master's life really makes me unable to leave. I rubbed my eyes and suddenly saw the system's task board light up. The board that had been silent for so long had finally opened. Lu Nu Yin came out. "In short, the mission hasn't been completed, I can't go. If I have a thick skin, I can stay anyway." Lu Nu Tuet looked at my confused face for a moment, then smiled softly. "Sister, please help me pay off my debt. Can you take care of me?" As if she was afraid I wouldn't believe her, she continued, "You're very rich. I recently opened a company. It's like the rain that refreshes a dry field." I boldly agreed immediately. Lu Nu Tuet took the yogurt bottle from my hand and opened it for me. I took it and took a sip. "So you won't chase me away?" My older sister is so cruel. Her voice is gentle and melodious with a characteristic feminine quality. I rubbed my temples, feeling a bit unreal. A happy family version. Almost done, I thought to myself. Lu Nu Tuet took me to the audience seat and placed a newly opened bottle of water next to me, winking at me. "Brother, it's time." She suddenly became coy. "If you give the water to someone else, I won't be happy." Did he call me here just to give him water? Lu Nu Tuet, what exactly are you doing? It stood in the yard, waving at me, tall and long-legged, with a very beautiful figure. It looked slimmer than Lu Nu Yin. There were many breaks in bed. The juniors ran to give water to Lu Nu Tuet. Their faces were red, even their ears were red. With so many people gathered, I guess there's no need for me, right? I looked at this scene and felt very satisfied. As expected, teenage girls are very attractive to the opposite sex. My Mac looked from afar and saw that Lu Nu Tuet didn't seem to accept any water. A boy's ears were as red as blood, but Lu Nu Tuet looked at me indifferently from afar. What's wrong? He seems very thirsty. Why doesn't he drink? So the whistle blew. Lu Nu Tuet returned to the football field, second half. Lu Nu Tuet is clearly much more aggressive than the first half. Even a little cruel, the match became a one-sided suppression. The final whistle sounded. Lu Nu Tuet completed her last match in high school. She came to me. Her body was sweaty, her eyes were wet, and seemed a little red. He picked up the water bottle next to me and drank. Have you drunk? Before I could finish my sentence, he had already drunk half the bottle. Finally, Lu Nu Tuet smiled and said, I almost died of thirst. I buried my face in my palms and forced myself to say, it's good not to die. She asked directly, Brother, why don't you give me water? I explained, but I see a lot of people have already given me water. I just wanted my brother to give it to me. She said, and I got a long silence in response. Standing still, Lu Nu Tuet stretched her long legs out in front, in a lazy, comfortable posture. I asked, when are we going back? Lu Nu Tuet said nothing. I felt a bit embarrassed. As soon as I stood up, Lu Nu Tuet blocked my way. Brother, did Lu Nu Yin come to your room yesterday? She asked. When I asked again, Lu Nu Tuet looked at me with cold eyes. What did she do to you, don't you know? I unconsciously touched my lips, but Lu Nu Tuet grabbed my wrist. Did she kiss you? She asked. At this moment I realized, in my dream someone was clinging to me, forcing me to call sister. Wasn't it a dream? Lu Nu Tuet approached me. Brother, I want it too. The match has ended. The large football field is now deserted. What is Lu Nu Tuet talking about? She held my wrist tightly. Lu Nu Tuet, don't make trouble, I scolded. The phone rang. Lu Nu Tuet looked at me with a strange expression, then changed position, hugged my waist, and kissed me. My body suddenly stiffened. My mind was pounding. The phone still rings nonstop. Finally, she let me go. Lu Nu Tuet gasped and answered the phone. Help me, said the older sister, her voice filled with chatter. Young master, now is the time to talk about dinner. Why do we have to talk about my little life now? I thought to myself. Lu Nu Yin deliberately separated me and Lu Nu Tuet, so she pushed me into Lu Nu Fong's car. I sat in the car with Lu Like Fong. I felt like the air in the car was poisonous. If I didn't breathe, I would die, but if I breathed, I would still die. While I was sweating profusely, I heard a familiar buzzing sound. The system that had been missing for so long had returned. I thought to myself, this kid is in big trouble. The system said, I'm mentally prepared to receive any bad news. I said sadly, the adult area has collapsed. I can't save it anymore. I intended to go to your place to take refuge, but in the end I discovered that your place was also an adult area from the beginning. I was wrong. Kid, you won't blame me, will you? The system said how to complain about the system. I indifferently asked, don't. I see your mission progress has reached 55%. Kid, let's not make things difficult for each other. That's 50 million yuan. The system said flatteringly. I sighed, rubbed my nose, and secretly looked at Lu Like Yin. About to discuss the mission plan with the system, Lu Nu Yin gripped the steering wheel tightly and suddenly said, there is still time to regret it now. Regret something? I asked. Lu Like Yin bit her lip and sped up. Girl, don't tease her. The system said, the remaining 45% is Lu Nu Yin's progress. What? I regained my composure. Hastily told Lu Nu Yin, sister, I was wrong. I loved you to the point of losing direction. The system is still explaining why I didn't tell you clearly before. This time you have to attack two characters. Lu Like Tuet's mission is easier. You have already completed it, and Lu Like Yin has 45% remaining. It must be a bit difficult. No wonder I flirted with Lu Like Tuet for half a day, but the mission progress still didn't change, I thought to myself. I couldn't believe it. I asked the system, so where did 5% of Liu's progress like Yin come from? The system is silent. I remember, the system said, it was that night. Now I'm very calm. I want to die. I thought to myself, don't die. I will fully hack you. Your world hasn't collapsed yet. Come on. You must complete the mission. Otherwise, I'm afraid that after the story collapses, you won't be able to stand it, the command system said after being given the ability to hear thoughts. As soon as I got home, I heard Liu's heart like Yin. Yesterday, I found out that we are not siblings. Today, he went to open a room with Lu Like Tuet. I pouted. We're all grown up, so what? Willow Like Tuet bowed her head and went upstairs. Lu Nu Fong smiled brightly and called me over to eat. I struggled all day, really hungry. As soon as I sat down, Lu Like Fong scooped me a bowl of chicken soup. Replenish my energy. I was just about to drink when I heard his voice, replenish my energy. Tonight, I want to watch the 1-on-2 live. I was so scared that I dropped my chopsticks. Isn't that right? Friend, Is your taste that strong? All players have turned their cards face up. Only I have not yet identified Lu as Yin. Anyway, she looks very angry, isn't she? Can this kind of story be thought up by a normal person? How could someone crush two siblings at the same time? I thought to myself. The system covered its mouth and secretly laughed in our small world. There are all kinds of stories. I glanced at it. Maybe you should do it yourself, and the system went silent. The young master should have really returned and had to compete for my affection and cause a bloody storm, right? I thought to myself, just thinking about that. Lu Nu Fong heard the sound of the door slamming and ran to open the door, smiled, and said to the person outside the door, Dad was home. Is Balu back already? Isn't he abroad? That's it, my fake young master status. Because I was thirsty, I went looking for water. As soon as I opened my eyes, I saw a tall figure standing on the balcony. The system demon screamed in my head. I was also scared, so I threw a pillow over. About to scream, that person turned around. One hand is holding a pillow, the other is smoking. Is a beautiful girl. Howling, it's Lu Nu Yin. She ran downstairs. What are you doing? I thought to myself. Lu Nu Yin came over, and I cowered on the sofa. I couldn't hear her thoughts. I just saw a slightly complicated expression on her face. She gave me a pillow and asked, Why are you holding that photo? Which photo? I asked again. I followed her gaze. On the tea table was a photo of me and Lu Nu Yin when we were children. Even though the house was shabby, I smiled brightly. No, if I gave this photo to Lu Nu Fong as a gift, wouldn't it anger him? It also irritates her, I thought to myself. I just found it by accident. Seeing that I'm going, it's not good, I said. Lu Nu Yin's voice was like ice. Do you still want to tear me apart? Haven't you torn me yet? Lu Nu Yin's eyes turned from the photo to me. She said disdainfully, It also smells like yogurt. This is a good opportunity, single man and single woman. Hurry up and attack, the system said. I feel very awkward. It's really awkward. There must be someone proactive in this matter. I held out 2 fingers, gently held Lu Nu Yin's hand, and called out, Sister. Lu Nu Yin's eyelashes trembled slightly, as if there was some affection in her eyes. She bent down, and I closed my eyes. In a blink of an eye, she snatched the photo from my hand. His expression suddenly turned cold, and he went upstairs. Before going upstairs, I heard her voice. Both Lu Nu Tuet and I. What does he want? It sounds a bit angry. I'm really at a loss. I did that, and she still left? I thought to myself, she must be jealous. The system smiled wryly. This is probably the purest adult area I've ever seen. With this face of forced love, are you going out to play pure love? Wasn't it you who crawled into my bed in the middle of the night before? I thought to myself. The good news is that Lu Nu Tuet thought I was toying with her, so she started a cold war with me and didn't pay any attention to me anymore. The bad news is that Lu Nu Yin also doesn't pay attention to me. I asked the system, what should I do now? Lu Nu Yin can't coax me no matter how much I try. How did you comfort her? The system asks again. I coaxed her until my mouth was almost worn out, but I still couldn't kiss her. I was still angry. Don't force yourself to kiss someone. You have to use love to touch her, the system said. Now Lu Nu Yin doesn't play forced love anymore, the system said. Okay, let me try, I said and changed into new clothes. There's a class reunion tonight. You don't need to wait for me to eat. Lu Nu Fong looked at Lu Nu Yin's face and then looked at me. All right. Lu Nu Tuet immediately stood up. It was the girl from the other day at the door again. Why do you want to go too? I waved my hand. No need. The driver will take you there. Lu Nu Tuet smiled, but her eyes were dark. Is your brother really that heartless? Lu Nu Yin raised her eyebrows. Before I went out, she didn't say anything, but the atmosphere around her was dark and scary. Before I went out the door, I heard Lu Nu Fong's voice. Here, finally causing trouble. I drank until I was drunk and called Lu Nu Yin. Sister, I'm drunk. Min's 3-part performance is heartbreaking, Lu Nu Yin thought to herself. Call the driver. Why call me? His tone was cold. 10 minutes later, I saw Lu Nu Yin and her hot eyes. What a hard mouth, I thought to myself. I pretended to be dizzy, my limbs went limp, and I fell into her arms. A cold scent enveloped me. I whispered in her ear, Sister, I want that photo. Lu Nu Yin helped me up and hugged me. Why do you want that picture? Her eyes were deep and hot as if they wanted to swallow me whole. I felt her hot breath and body temperature, so I rubbed her ear. Sister, let's go home. Lu Nu Fong and Lu Nu Tuet are not at home. I called Lu Nu Fong in advance and told him to keep Lu Nu Tuet. Yin Ni, come on. Lu Nu Fong cheered me on from afar. As soon as Lu Nu Yin opened the door, I pressed her against the wall and kissed her. She didn't respond to me until my lips were numb before she looked at me. Warm voice. Why do you want the photo? At this moment, I heard her heart say, will Lu Nu Tuet do the same to you? I looked at her seriously and said, no, Lu Nu Yin, it's just you. It turns out she always wanted a clear, straightforward answer. I didn't have any strength left anymore. I held her neck with both hands. Sister, I want that photo. I want you too. She turned the situation around in the blink of an eye. When I regained my composure, there was a storm in her eyes. The passionate kiss swallowed my words and my breath. An irresistible force made my mind go blank. I no longer had the energy to pay attention to the changes in the mission progress on the control panel. Only the instinct to respond to her remained. When Lu Nu Fong and Lu Nu Tuet returned, I changed into a new set of pajamas. The living room looks very neat, and the sofa cover has been replaced. It seems a bit hidden. Lu Nu Fong covered her mouth and smiled at me, then looked at Lu Nu Tuet, her expression a bit gloating. Lu Nu Tuet coldly handed me the admission notice. The admission notice arrived a few days ago. Lu Nu Yin had just come out of the shower. Her hair was still wet. Lu Nu Tuet rolled her eyes. What are you bathing in during the day? No one answered her question. I was very pleased to see the number 100 minutes on the mission board, then said to the system, stop pretending to be dead. Can I return to the real world now? The system rubbed its hands flatteringly and said, I told you that the outside world has collapsed. It has nothing to do with me. I asked suspiciously, so excited as like this? I just received a notice from the programmer. The tunnel back to the real world was damaged by saboteurs. It will take 4 years to repair. The system said, what? I thought to myself. The system suddenly knelt down. Dad. I call you Dad. Please don't report me. Dad went to college here for just 4 years, an important university here. I guarantee the quality will be the same as school 985 outside. I will open the admission notice and throw it at the system. Are you kidding me? To flatter me. The system has hacked me with many features, and the lucky draw is super standard. Stealing lottery tickets is definitely a possibility. Buying lottery tickets is a constant occurrence. The system also regularly brings many beautiful NPCs to my side. I have met many beauties, but I find that none of them are as good as Lu Nu Yin. After all, she is the main female character of this world. Lu Nu Tuet's way of competing for love also changed from that day on. With just one glance from Lu Nu Tuet, I immediately knew what she was thinking. For example, tonight, my sister is not home. It's my turn to go to my brother's room. It's really the Lu family. Lu Nu Fong was also very focused on the chaotic scenes, often running to assist. Only Lu Nu Yin is still normal. One evening, she had just returned from discussing business. Her passionate and seductive scent mixed with the smell of alcohol rushed straight into my nose. She gently comforted me, but in her heart she thought, let's have a baby. I smiled softly. Sister, I want to sleep. Tomorrow is the graduation ceremony. At the graduation ceremony, Lu Nu Tuet stood under the stage, holding a camera, with a serious expression. Looking at the frequency with which she clicked the camera, she must have taken hundreds of photos for me. Lu Nu Yin stood next to me. I don't know why her face was gloomy. She didn't seem to be in a good mood. Lu Nu Fong took a photo of me and Lu Nu Yin and gave it to me, calling to me in a low voice. Brother-in-law, you have to live well. I took the 2 photos and 50 million yuan back to the real world. One photo is a photo of me and Lu Nu Yin at graduation. One photo is a photo of me and Lu Nu Yin when we were children. In both photos, I smiled brightly, while Lu Nu Yin always kept a cold expression. I was lying on the bed counting money. Suddenly the system sounded an alarm. Dad. The person who sabotaged the tunnel back to the real world has torn apart space. My mind is blank. Something must have gone wrong. The system's voice suddenly became very quiet, as if afraid of something. He's right next to Dad now. I slowly turned my head and saw Lu Nu Yin sitting on my bed. Those 2 photos, I found you.